Admiral Hyun-woo Kim stood in the command center of Luna Station, watching the stars through the massive viewing window. The moon's surface stretched below them, gray and quiet, but space around Earth was anything but quiet. Ships moved in careful patterns, following routes that had been planned for decades. The communication panel beeped. Captain Seo-jin Park turned from her station, her face serious. "Admiral, we're getting a transmission. It's from the Galactic Confederation." Hyun-woo walked to the main screen. He had been expecting this call for months. Human scouts had reported strange movements in alien space, ships gathering, meetings on distant worlds. Now it seemed the waiting was over. "Put it through," he said. The screen flickered. A tall alien appeared, covered in blue scales that caught the light. Behind him stood representatives from other species, some with fur, others with skin like metal, all wearing the same proud expression. Hyun-woo recognized the leader as Ambassador Veltar of the Velthron Empire. "Humans of Earth," Veltar spoke, his voice carrying across space. "I am Ambassador Veltar, speaking for the Galactic Confederation. We represent 12 species and over 400 worlds." Hyun-woo said nothing. He waited. "Your expansion into our space ends now," Veltar continued. "For too long we have watched your kind spread like a disease. You take worlds that do not belong to you. You ignore our laws. You show no respect for civilized society." Commander Dong-hyun Lee stepped forward, but Hyun-woo raised a hand to stop him. "Let the alien speak." "We give you 72 standard hours," Veltar said.
"Remove all human colonies from space beyond your home system.
"Recall all your ships. Submit to Confederation authority. Do this, and your species may survive as our servants." The alien paused, clearly expecting fear. When he saw none, his eyes narrowed. "Refuse," Veltar said, "and we will demonstrate what happens to primitive species who challenge their betters. Our fleet numbers 50,000 ships. Your entire military has what, 3,000 vessels? Perhaps 4? Behind Veltar, other aliens nodded. Some smiled, showing teeth designed for tearing meat. "We have studied your wars, humans. You fight each other over scraps of dirt and drops of water. You know nothing of real power. We will burn your worlds to ash and scatter, your people to the void." The transmission cut to show space above Earth. Hyun-woo could see the alien fleet. In the distance, thousands of ships arranged in perfect formations. They hung there like a storm cloud, dark and threatening. Veltar appeared again. 72 hours, humans. Choose wisely." The screen went black. The command center fell silent. Hyun-woo could hear the quiet hum of computers and the soft breathing of his staff. Someone cleared their throat nervously. Captain Seo-jin spoke first. "Sir, our intelligence confirms their numbers. 50,000 ships, maybe more. They've been gathering for months." "Weapons analysis?" Hyun-woo asked. "Advanced energy weapons, quantum torpedoes, gravitic disruptors," she replied. "Each of their main ships could probably take on 10 of ours in direct combat." Commander Dong-hyun pulled up tactical displays. "They're positioned in 3 main groups. One above Earth, one near Mars, one by the asteroid belt. Classic encirclement pattern." Dr. Yoon-bi Choi, the xenobiology specialist, stepped forward. She was younger than the others, but had spent years studying alien cultures. "Admiral, there's something you should know about Velthran psychology. They believe absolutely in their superiority. To them, we're animals that learn to use tools, are we?" Hyun-woo asked quietly. "Sir, are we animals that learn to use tools?" Dr. Yoon-bi smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. "No, Admiral. We're something much more dangerous than that." Hyun-woo walked back to the viewing window. Earth turned slowly below, blue and white and beautiful. Somewhere down there, children played in parks. Families ate dinner together. People fell in love and had dreams about the future. The aliens wanted to take all of that away. "Open a channel," he said. "Sir?" Seo-jin asked. "To the Confederation?" "To the Confederation." The screen lit up again. Veltar appeared, clearly expecting to hear humanity's surrender. Behind him, the other aliens watched with hungry eyes. "Ambassador Veltar," Hyun-woo said, his voice calm and steady. "We have received your message." "And?" Veltar demanded. "We decline." For a moment, Veltar stared. Then he began to laugh, a harsh sound like metal scraping stone. The other aliens joined in. "You decline?" Veltar said. "Human, do you understand what you face? We command the power of 12 civilizations. Our ships could glass your world in hours." "Perhaps," Hyun-woo said. "But you wanted an answer in 72 hours. I'm giving it to you now. We will not surrender. We will not abandon our colonies. We will not submit. Feltar's laughter died. Then you have chosen extinction. We have chosen to defend ourselves. With 3,000 ships against 50,000? Hyunwoo was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried a strange certainty. Ambassador, let me share something about human history. We have been fighting wars for 50,000 years. We have fought with sticks and stones. We have fought with swords and guns. We have fought with bombs that split atoms and weapons that burn like stars. The alien stopped smiling. In all that time, Hyunwoo continued, we learned one important truth. Numbers don't win wars. Preparation wins wars. Will wins wars. And we have had 200 years to prepare for this day. Impossible, Feltar said, but uncertainty crept into his voice. You studied our history, Hyunwoo said. Did you study all of it? Did you wonder why a species that fights constantly never managed to destroy itself? Did you ask why we spread so quickly through space? Did you question how we built our colonies so fast? Feltar said nothing. 72 hours, Ambassador, Hyunwoo said, using the alien's own words. But I won't need that long. Your lesson in human power begins now. He gestured to So-jin, who cut the transmission. The command center remained quiet. Finally, Dong-hyun spoke. Orders, Admiral? Hyunwoo turned from the window. When he looked at his staff, they saw something in his eyes that made them straighten. Not anger, not fear. Something colder and more certain. Send the activation codes, he said. All of them. It's time they learned what real power means. Dr. Yunbi smiled again, and this time it was genuinely happy. They have no idea what they just woke up. Outside, the alien fleet waited in the darkness, confident in their strength. They had no way of knowing that in hidden places throughout the galaxy, ancient systems were coming online, systems that had been waiting patiently for this exact moment. The war they wanted was about to begin. But it wouldn't be the war they expected. General Taemin Yoon sat in a bunker buried 3 kilometers under the surface of Titan. The room around him looked simple, just walls of gray metal and computer screens. But those screens showed views from across the galaxy, and the codes he was typing would change everything. Prometheus protocol activation confirmed, he said into his headset. All stations begin sequence 1. Far above him, Saturn's rings caught the light from the distant sun. The alien fleet had dismissed this outer system as unimportant. They were wrong about many things, but that mistake would cost them dearly. On the screen in front of Taemin, numbers began to climb. Power readings from facilities that weren't supposed to exist. Energy signatures from installations that no alien scout had ever detected. For 200 years, humanity had been building in the dark spaces between worlds. The first facility came online in the Centauri system. From the outside, it looked like a small asteroid. But inside, machines began to work. Assembly lines that had waited decades for this moment started building ships. Not the simple vessels the aliens had seen, but something far more advanced. Major Hyewan Shin walked through the underground tunnels of New Geneva, checking her tablet. Around her, teams of humans moved with quiet purpose. These weren't soldiers, they were engineers, doctors, teachers, merchants. People who had lived normal lives for generations. But they all shared one secret. Team 7 reports ready, she said into her comm. The Calarian trade hub is secure. Team 12 is in position on Thylos Prime, came another voice. Team 18 has the Zephyrian Communication Center. Hyewan smiled. The aliens thought they knew where all the humans were. They had tracked the obvious colonies, the official settlements, the registered trading posts, but humans had been spreading through alien space for generations, not as conquerors but as neighbors. Every major alien world had humans living on it. Not spies exactly, just people who had made homes among the stars. Refugees who never left, traders who stayed for generations, scientists who married locals and raised families. The aliens had grown used to them, stopped seeing them as threats. That was their second mistake. On Calaria, Dr. Jiho Park finished his morning rounds at the medical center where he had worked for 30 years. His alien patients trusted him completely. His Calarian wife kissed him goodbye as she left for her job at the planetary defense grid. Their half-human children went to school with other alien kids. Dr. Park looked like any other human civilian. But buried in his basement were communication devices that could reach every corner of the galaxy. And in his mind were the locations of every important military installation on Calaria. The aliens had let humans become part of their society. Now those humans were about to show their true purpose. Engineer Jae-sung Kang stood in a facility that officially didn't exist, floating in the empty space between two star systems. The structure was massive, kilometers long, built inside the hollow shell of an asteroid that had been carefully moved here decades ago. Weapon systems online, he reported. Beginning deployment of the reality anchors. Around him, machines older than most civilizations hummed to life. These weren't weapons as the aliens understood them. Energy beams and missiles were crude tools compared to what humanity had developed. These devices worked on deeper levels. They changed the rules of how space and time functioned. The first reality anchor deployed near the Valthran home system. It looked like a small satellite, barely visible against the stars. But it began to broadcast something that made nearby space itself behave differently. Physics still worked, but physics now followed human intentions. Similar devices activated throughout the galaxy. Most aliens didn't notice them. Their sensors couldn't detect technology that operated outside their understanding of science. Back on Luna Station, Admiral Hyun-woo watched the reports come in. Each activation sent a brief signal to his command center. Green lights appeared on his tactical display. Not ships or weapons, but something far more valuable. "How many installations are online?" he asked Captain So-jin. 70% of the deep facilities, she replied. 85% of the infiltration teams. 90% of the reality manipulation network. Time to full activation? 18 hours, Admiral. Hyun-woo nodded. The aliens thought they had given humanity 3 days to surrender. They didn't realize that humanity had needed only hours to become something completely different from what they expected. On the alien flagship, Ambassador Veltar studied reports from his scouts. The human response puzzled him. Instead of gathering their small fleet for a final battle, human ships were scattering. Some headed for the outer system. Others simply disappeared, probably running for distant colonies. "Cowards," he said to his aide. "They abandoned their home world rather than fight." His aide, a younger Velthran with silver scales, looked uncertain. "Sir, our long-range sensors are detecting some unusual energy readings." "From the human fleet?" "No, sir, from other locations. The readings don't match any known human technology." Veltar dismissed the concern with a wave. "Sensor ghosts. Reflections from our own ships. Humans don't have technology we can't understand." That was their third mistake. In the depths of space, ancient human installations continued to wake up. Shipyards that could build a fleet in days. Weapons platforms that could target anything in a solar system. Manufacturing centers that could reshape matter at the atomic level. But the most important activations were happening on the alien worlds themselves. In cities where humans had lived for generations, quiet signals passed between families. Children who had grown up speaking alien languages received coded messages from their grandparents. Adults who had never shown any interest in warfare suddenly remembered training they had received in childhood. The Valthran Empire had 4 billion humans living within its borders. The Thylorian Republic had 2 billion. Every major alien civilization had accepted human refugees, human traders, human scientists and doctors and teachers. None of them had realized they were accepting something else entirely. Commander Yu-jin, Song received the final activation code while sitting in a coffee shop on Valthra Prime, the capital world of the Empire. Around her, Valthran citizens went about their daily lives, unaware that their world was about to change forever. She finished her drink, left payment on the table, and walked out into the street. 2 blocks away, a maintenance hatch led to the tunnels that carried power to the planetary defense grid. In those tunnels, human engineers had been working for decades, making small modifications that seemed harmless. Yu-jin opened her tool bag and began connecting devices that would give humanity complete control over Valthra Prime's military systems. Similar work was happening on hundreds of worlds across the galaxy. Back in his bunker on Titan, General Tae-min watched the final systems come online. The tactical display showed the galaxy as it really was. Not alien territory with a few human colonies, but a vast network of human installations connected by invisible threads of communication and control. "Sir," his aide reported, "all systems show green. Prometheus protocol is fully active." Taemin allowed himself a small smile. The aliens had studied human warfare and concluded that humans were primitive because they fought each other. But they had missed the real lesson of human history. Humans didn't just fight wars. They planned for them. They prepared for them. They built entire civilizations around the possibility of war. And when war came, they were ready. The alien fleet still waited above Earth, confident in their overwhelming numbers. They expected a quick victory followed by easy conquest. Instead, they were about to discover that they hadn't declared war on 3,000 human ships. They had declared war on the entire galaxy. Because for 200 years the galaxy had been becoming human, one world at a time. The machine was awake now, and it was hungry. Admiral Su-Young Han stood on the bridge of the battleship New Seoul, watching through the viewing screen as the alien fleet approached New Harmony Colony. The aliens had chosen this world for their first demonstration, a farming planet with 2 million human civilians. "They're following the plan perfectly," her weapons officer reported. "The entire Valthran Third Fleet is moving into orbit." Su-Young nodded. The aliens thought they were about to destroy a helpless colony. They had no idea they were walking into the most elaborate trap in galactic history. "Signal from the planet, Admiral," the communications officer said. "Last transport is clear. All civilians evacuated." "Good," Su-Young said. "Begin Phase 1. On New Harmony's surface, the last human transport lifted off, carrying the final group of colonists to safety." The planet below looked normal from space, cities, farms, roads connecting settlements. But the aliens scanning it would find something strange. There was nobody home. Ambassador Veltar stood on his flagship above New Harmony, expecting to see panicked humans running for shelter. Instead, his sensors showed empty buildings, abandoned streets, and no life signs at all. "Where are they?" he demanded. His tactical officer checked the readings again. "Sir, the planet appears to be completely evacuated. No human signatures detected anywhere." "Impossible," Veltar said. 2 million people can't just disappear. Check for underground shelters." "Already scanning, sir. No significant life readings below ground either." Veltar felt a cold touch of doubt. How had the humans evacuated? An entire world so quickly? And where had they gone? His answer came from a single beacon floating in orbit around New Harmony. It activated as his ships drew closer, broadcasting a message across all frequencies. Admiral Hyunwoo's face appeared on every screen in the alien fleet. Behind him stood the command center of Luna Station, calm and professional. "Ambassador Veltar," Hyunwoo said, his voice carrying clearly across space. "You wanted to destroy our colony. As you can see, there's nobody here to destroy." Veltar's scales darkened with anger. "Coward, you run rather than fight." "We saved 2 million lives in 18 hours, Hyunwoo replied. "We call that victory, but you wanted to see what real power means. Lesson 1 begins now." The transmission ended. For a moment, space around New Harmony was quiet. Then the first human ship appeared. It materialized inside the alien formation, not flying in from outside, but simply existing where nothing had been before. The ship looked wrong somehow, its edges blurred as if it wasn't entirely there. Captain Minho Ryu stood on the bridge of the Incheon, his hands steady on the dimensional controls. Around his ship, alien vessels scrambled to respond to his sudden appearance. Weapons targeted him from dozens of directions. "This is Captain Minho Ryu of the Human Defense Force," he broadcast to the alien fleet. "You are trespassing in human space. Leave now." Veltar's response was immediate. "Destroy that ship." Energy. Beams lanced out from the alien vessels, enough firepower to vaporize a mountain, but they passed through empty space. The Incheon had shifted slightly out of normal reality, existing in the spaces between dimensions. "Interesting," Minho said calmly. "Our turn." The Incheon fired once. Not at any alien ship, but at the empty space beside Veltar's flagship. Where the beam struck, reality rippled like water. Suddenly, a massive structure appeared, a human weapons platform that had been hiding in folded space. The platform didn't fire. It just sat there, its weapons obviously capable of destroying the entire alien fleet. A message beacon activated beside it. "We could have ended this before it began," Hyunwoo's voice said. "We chose not to. Will you make the same choice?" Similar events were happening throughout the galaxy. In the Thylorian system, Admiral Sung Hwan Choi materialized his strike force inside the orbital defenses of their capital world. Human ships appeared in perfect formation above the Planetary Senate building, but they didn't attack. Instead, they deployed small devices, tiny satellites that began broadcasting human messages in perfect Thylorian language. "Citizens of Thylos," the message said, "we are not your enemies. We have lived among you for generations. Your neighbor Kojin owns the bakery on 5th Street. Dr. Yun-Young has delivered half the children in your capital city. Teacher Myung-Soo has taught 3 generations of your young." On Thylos Prime, confused aliens looked out their windows to see their human neighbors standing in the streets, smiling and waving. People they had known for years, people they trusted, people who had become part of their communities. The message continued. "We could have poisoned your water or sabotaged your power grid at any time. We chose friendship instead. Your leaders chose war. Who do you trust? Dr. Ji-yeon." Oh sat in the Psychological Warfare Center beneath Luna's surface, watching the reports come in. Screens showed alien news broadcasts from across the galaxy, confusion, fear, and growing anger at their own governments. "The Calarians are demanding explanations from their military council," she reported to Admiral Hyunwoo. "The Zephyrians are asking why their government didn't know humans were living in their cities. And the Velthrons? Beginning to panic, sir. They're discovering that humans have been involved in their infrastructure for decades. Power grids, communication networks, transportation systems. We've had access to everything." Hyunwoo studied the tactical display. Each alien world was lit up with markers showing human presence. Not armies or weapons, but people, families, communities, lives built over generations of patient preparation. "They thought they were fighting a war," he said quietly. "They didn't realize they were fighting a civilization." On Valthra Prime, Commander Yujin Song stood in the central command center of the planetary defense grid. Around her, Valthran technicians stared in shock as human access codes unlocked systems they thought were secure. "How is this possible?" the chief technician demanded. "These are Valthran systems, built by Valthran engineers." Yujin smiled sadly. "Built by Valthran engineers, yes, but maintained by human technicians for 30 years. We've been fixing your computers, upgrading your networks, installing new hardware. Did you never wonder why your systems worked so well?" She entered a command, and every screen in the building showed the same message. "Defense grid offline by human request. No hostile actions will be taken. Please remain calm." Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. On Calaria, human engineers revealed that they had been running the orbital factories for decades. On Thylos, human doctors showed that they controlled the medical networks that kept the population healthy. On Zephyr, human teachers proved they had educated the children who were now running the government. The aliens had thought they were accepting human refugees and workers. Instead, they had invited humanity to become the foundation of their entire civilization. Back at New Harmony, Ambassador Veltar watched his carefully planned attack fall apart. His ships couldn't target enemies that phased in and out of reality. His weapons couldn't hit targets that existed in folded space. His commanders couldn't coordinate attacks when human signals were interrupting their communications. Worse, his own crews were beginning to question orders. Many of them had human friends back home. Some had human spouses or children. They were starting to ask why they were attacking people they had known all their lives. "Sir," his aide reported, nervously, "we're receiving a priority message from Valthra Prime. Put it through." The screen showed Emperor Kael'thron himself, the supreme ruler of the Valthron Empire. But he looked older than Veltar remembered, and his proud scales had dulled with worry. "Ambassador," the Emperor said, "what have you done?" "Sir, I followed your orders exactly. We demanded human surrender and prepared to demonstrate our power." "Our power?" The Emperor's voice rose. "Ambassador, the humans have just demonstrated that they control our transportation grid, our communication networks, our food distribution systems, and our planetary defenses. They could have starved our worlds or plunged them into darkness at any time in the last 50 years. Veltar felt his certainty cracking. But sir, they're primitives. They have no advanced technology. They have something far more dangerous than advanced technology, the Emperor said quietly. They have patience. And they have been planning this for longer than our empire has existed. The transmission ended, leaving Veltar alone with his doubts and his fleet that could no longer be sure who the enemy really was. On Luna Station, Admiral Hyun-woo prepared the next message. The first lesson was complete. The aliens now understood that humans were not the primitives they had imagined. They knew that their own civilizations had been quietly guided by human hands for generations. But they still thought this was about territory or resources or political control. They didn't understand what they had really awakened. That lesson would come next. Fleet Admiral Sung Ho Baek received the emergency transmission while reviewing tactical reports in his command ship, hidden in the Kuiper Belt. The message was brief, but it changed everything. Green Valley agricultural world destroyed. Captain Sojin's voice came through the secure channel. 1 billion civilians confirmed dead. The Confederation used planet-killing weapons. Sung Ho felt something cold settle in his chest. For 3 days, humanity had demonstrated restraint. They had shown their reach, their preparation, their ability to end the war without massive bloodshed. They had given the aliens every chance to step back from disaster. The aliens had chosen to murder 1 billion innocent people instead. Confirm the report, he said quietly. Confirmed, Admiral. Green Valley colony is gone. The Velthron Empire broadcast the attack across the galaxy as proof of their power. They're calling it a demonstration of what happens to species that refuse to submit. Sung Ho closed his eyes for a moment. Green Valley had been a farming world. No military installations, no strategic value. Just families growing food to feed other human colonies. Children had played in those fields yesterday. Now there was nothing but radioactive dust, sir, his aide asked carefully. Orders? Sung Ho opened his eyes. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of centuries of human warfare. Send the authorization codes for Doctrine 7. All commanders, all installations, all assets. The aliens wanted to see our real power. It's time to show them. On Luna Station, Admiral Hyun-woo stared at the images from Green Valley. The planet was a blackened sphere now, its atmosphere stripped away by weapons designed to kill worlds. Intelligence reports said the aliens had been watching human reactions across the galaxy, expecting to see terror and surrender. Instead, they were about to see something that would haunt their species for generations. Doctrine 7 confirmed. Commander Dong Hyun reported. All fleet commanders acknowledge. Reality manipulation networks are at full power. Dr. Yoonbi, what's the status on alien civilian evacuations? The xenobiology specialist checked her screens. 90% complete, Admiral. Our people embedded in alien cities have been quietly moving non-combatants to safety zones for the last 6 hours. Hyun-woo nodded. Even in their anger, humans would not repeat the aliens' mistake. There would be no innocent victims in what came next. Begin the demonstration. Commander Yoo-jin Song stood in the Special Weapons Center buried beneath Titan's ice. Around her, machines that operated beyond normal physics hummed with dangerous energy. These weapons didn't just destroy matter. They reached deeper, affecting the fundamental forces that held reality together. Target coordinates locked, she reported. Valthran Third Fleet, currently in orbit around the ruins of Green Valley. Weapons hot, came the response from similar installations across the galaxy. Temporal manipulation devices armed. Gravitational disruptors ready. Reality anchors in position. Yoo-jin checked her readings one more time. The Valthran ships that had destroyed Green Valley were about to learn what happened when you murdered human civilians. Fire. The weapon that struck the Valthran. Third Fleet wasn't a beam of energy or a missile. It was something far more terrible, a focused distortion in the nature of existence itself. To observers, the alien ships simply stopped being. Not destroyed, not vaporized, not even scattered as debris. They became unreal, as if they had never existed at all. But the crews didn't die. That would have been mercy. Instead, they found themselves floating in space in perfect environmental suits, alive and unharmed, but watching their ships fade from reality around them. They remembered building those vessels, serving on them, living in them for years. But the universe no longer agreed that the ships had ever been real. Admiral Veltar floated in the void where his flagship had been, his scales gray with shock. Around him, thousands of his crew members drifted in the same impossible situation. They were alive. But everything they had depended on was gone, erased from existence as if it had been a dream. A rescue beacon activated near him, human technology, offering to take him and his survivors to safety. The voice that spoke was calm and professional. "This is Captain Min Ho Ryu of the Human Defense Force. Admiral Veltar, you and your crews will be taken to a safe location. No harm will come to you, but your weapons of mass destruction no longer exist and they never will again." Similar demonstrations occurred throughout the galaxy. The Calarian fleet that had been preparing to attack human colonies found their ships' weapons simply vanishing. Not broken, not destroyed, gone, as if they had never been installed. The Thylorian orbital platforms that protected their homeworld remained intact, but their planet-killing capabilities disappeared. The massive guns were still there, but they were now configured to fire harmless light shows instead of death beams. Philosopher General Wansik Nam broadcast the new doctrine from a hidden facility in the Alpha Centauri system. His message reached every alien world simultaneously, carried by communication networks that the aliens were beginning to realize they had never truly controlled. "Citizens of the galaxy," he said, his voice reaching beings of a dozen different species, "your leaders chose to escalate this conflict by murdering innocent civilians. We could respond with the same cruelty. We could destroy your worlds, kill your children, and burn your civilizations to ash." On Velthra Prime, Emperor Kael'Thran watched the human message from his throne room. Around him, his advisors trembled as they realized their military had just been systematically dismantled by forces they couldn't understand. "Instead," Wansik continued, "we choose to demonstrate the difference between destruction and education. Your weapons of mass destruction no longer exist. Your ability to commit genocide has been removed from reality itself. This is not revenge. This is a lesson." The message shifted to show images from across the galaxy, alien crews being rescued by human ships, alien civilians being protected by human forces, alien worlds continuing to function normally except for their sudden inability to wage destructive war. "We are not conquerors," Wansik said. "We are teachers. And the lesson is this: violence against innocence will not be tolerated. Your choice is simple: learn to coexist peacefully, or lose the ability to choose anything else." On Thylos Prime, Admiral Quan Ho Jung appeared in the planetary Senate chamber itself, his ship having materialized inside the building through dimensional manipulation. The alien senators backed away in terror, expecting death. Instead, Quan Ho simply stood there in his environmental suit, broadcasting a message to their people. "Senators of Thylos," he said, "your military ordered the destruction of human civilians. We have responded by removing your ability to destroy anyone. Your ships still fly, your defenses still function, but they can no longer kill on a massive scale." He gestured, and the viewing screens around the chamber showed Thylorian children playing safely in their cities, protected by human force fields that had been secretly installed years ago. "Your people are safe," Quan Ho continued. "They will remain safe as long as you choose wisdom over warfare. This is the only warning you will receive." Back on Earth, Dr. Yunbi monitored the psychological effects of the demonstration. Alien news networks struggled to report events that defied their understanding of physics. Military leaders tried to explain how their most powerful weapons had simply ceased to exist. "The Calarians are requesting immediate peace negotiations," she reported. "The Zephyrians have already recalled all their forces. The Thylorians are debating a formal surrender." "And the Vilthrons?" Admiral Hyunwoo asked. "Emperor Kael'Thran is reconsidering his position. Our embedded teams report that he's been in emergency session with his advisors for 12 hours. Hyunwoo studied the tactical display. The galaxy had changed in the space of a single day. Alien military forces that had seemed overwhelming were now revealed as hollow threats. Their weapons existed only as long as humanity allowed them to exist. But more importantly, the aliens were beginning to understand what they faced. Not just superior technology, but a completely different approach to conflict. Humans didn't just win wars, they redefined the rules of warfare itself. Fleet Admiral Shung Ho received the final reports from his scattered commands. Every alien fleet that had participated in the destruction of Green Valley had been neutralized. Not destroyed, but made irrelevant. Their crews were safe, their ships were intact, but their ability to wage war had been surgically removed from reality. "Status report," he requested. All major alien military assets have been edited, his tactical officer reported, struggling to find words for what they had done. Weapons of mass destruction no longer exist in their fleets. Planet-killing capabilities have been removed from their installations. They can still defend themselves, but they cannot commit genocide. Sung-Ho nodded. It was a surgical approach to warfare, removing the enemy's ability to cause massive harm while leaving their defensive capabilities intact. The aliens could protect their worlds, but they could no longer threaten others, sir, his communications officer added. We're receiving surrender requests from 8 different alien governments. They want to negotiate terms for ending the conflict. Tell them, Sung-Ho said, that humanity doesn't accept surrenders. We only accept promises to do better. The war was effectively over. The aliens had learned. 30 days after the war began, Admiral Hyunwoo stood in the throne room of Velthra Prime. The massive chamber was built to intimidate. Soaring ceilings, walls covered in the battle honors of 1,000 conquered worlds, and at the center, the crystal throne where Emperor Kael'thran had ruled the largest empire in the galaxy. Now the Emperor sat slumped in that throne, his proud scales dulled with defeat. Around him, his greatest generals and advisors watched in silence as the human admiral approached. They had expected him to arrive with an army. Instead, he had come alone, walking through their capital city like any other visitor. Emperor Kael'thran, Hyunwoo said, his voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. I bring greetings from humanity. The Emperor raised his head slowly. Have you come to dictate terms of surrender? No, Hyunwoo replied. I've come to deliver a message. He gestured, and a holographic display appeared between them. It showed the galaxy as it existed now, not the chaotic collection of competing empires it had been a month ago, but something new. Something peaceful. Your fleet commanders have reported that their weapons no longer function, Hyunwoo said. Your military advisors have confirmed that your ships can fly and defend, but cannot attack civilian targets. Your scientists have discovered that the fundamental laws of physics now prevent certain types of weapons from existing. Emperor Kael'thran nodded bitterly. You have made us helpless. No, Hyunwoo said. We have made war helpless. You can still defend your worlds. You can still protect your people. You can still explore space and build civilizations. You simply cannot commit genocide anymore. The holographic display shifted to show alien worlds going about their daily business. Calarian children played in parks protected by invisible human force fields. Thylorian merchants traded freely, their ships escorted by human vessels that ensured safe passage. Zephyrian scientists conducted research in laboratories that humans had secretly upgraded for decades. This is the Galactic Peacekeeping Doctrine, Hyunwoo explained. Every world is protected. Every species is free to develop as they choose. Violence for conquest, enslavement, or extermination is no longer possible. One of the Emperor's advisors, a young Velthran with silver scales, stepped forward. And if we refuse to accept this doctrine? Hyunwoo looked at him with something like pity. Refuse what? The choice has already been made. The galaxy is at peace whether you accept it or not. The question is whether you want to be part of building something better, or whether you prefer to sulk in your palaces while the rest of the galaxy moves forward. The advisor's scales flushed with anger, but the Emperor raised a hand to silence him. Kael'thran had lived for 3 centuries and ruled for 2. He understood power in all its forms, and he recognized what he was facing. You're not conquerors, he said slowly. You're gardeners, Hyunwoo smiled. Now you're beginning to understand. You've been shaping the galaxy for centuries, haven't you? Not through force, but through cultivation. You placed your people among us, learned our ways, became part of our societies. And when we threatened to destroy ourselves, you simply pruned away the dangerous parts. The galaxy is too beautiful to let it burn itself down, Hyunwoo said. Every species has something unique to contribute. The Calarians understand harmony between technology and nature. The Thylorians create art that moves souls across species boundaries. The Zephyrians see patterns in mathematics that no one else can perceive. Even your people have gifts. Your understanding of honor and tradition could help stabilize the younger civilizations. The Emperor was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of a ruler who finally understood his place in a larger design. What do you want from us? The same thing we want from everyone, Hyunwoo replied. Help us build a galaxy where every child can grow up safely, where every species can reach its potential, where conflicts are solved with words rather than weapons, And if we refuse? Then you refuse. But your refusal changes nothing. The weapons that could destroy civilizations no longer exist. The ships that could glass worlds now carry medical supplies and teachers instead. The armies that could enslave populations have been retrained as disaster relief forces. Hyunwoo gestured again, and the display showed human teams working alongside alien crews. Former Valthron warriors were learning to build hospitals instead of battleships. Calarian soldiers were being taught to grow food in hostile environments. Thylorian generals were discovering they had a talent for organizing refugee resettlement. We didn't destroy your military, Hyunwoo said. We gave it a better purpose. Dr. Yunbi's voice came through his earpiece, speaking from the analysis center on Luna Station. Admiral, we're receiving reports from across the galaxy. Crime rates down 90%.
Trade up 300%.
16 new scientific breakthroughs in the last week alone. The doctrine is working. Hyunwoo nodded slightly, then focused back on the Emperor. Your people are happier now than they've been in centuries. When was the last time a Valthron child went to sleep worried about war? When did your citizens last have to fear that their world might be destroyed by an enemy fleet? The Emperor's advisor tried one more protest. This is tyranny. You've forced your will upon the entire galaxy. We've removed the option to commit mass murder, Hyunwoo said patiently. Is that tyranny? If I stopped you from poisoning a city's water supply, would you call that oppression? It's not the same thing, isn't it? War on the scale your empires practiced was just mass murder with flags and uniforms. We've ended that. Everything else, trade, exploration, cultural development, scientific advancement, all of that is not only allowed but encouraged. Commander Yujin's song appeared on the holographic display, broadcasting from a joint human-alien research station in the Andromeda approach. Behind her, scientists from 6 different species worked together on projects that would have been impossible when they were spending their resources on weapons. Admiral, she reported, the Calarian Human Joint Expedition has made contact with 3 new species in the Outer Rim. All peaceful first contacts. The standard protection protocols are being implemented. Thank you, Commander, Hyunwoo replied. Then to the Emperor. 3 new civilizations discovered this week. Each one will be protected, educated, and invited to join the galactic community. No one will be enslaved or destroyed or forced to submit to anyone else's will. Except yours, the advisor said bitterly. Hyunwoo was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of 50,000 years of human history. We spent our entire existence learning how to kill each other more efficiently. We fought with stones and swords and bombs and weapons that could crack planets. We nearly destroyed ourselves a dozen times. And in the end, we learned the most important lesson any species can learn, which is that survival isn't about being the strongest or the most violent. It's about being wise enough to choose cooperation over conflict. We're not imposing our will on the galaxy. We're sharing what we learned. The Emperor stood slowly, his ancient joints creaking. Around him, his court watched in silence as their ruler approached the human admiral. You said you came to deliver a message, Calthron said. What is it? Hyunwoo smiled, and for the first time since entering the throne room, he looked genuinely happy. The message is simple, Emperor. The war is over. Not just this war, all wars. The galaxy is at peace, and it will remain at peace. Your children and grandchildren will never know the fear that shaped your generation. And in return, you help us build something better. You take the strength and honor of the Valthran people and use it to protect the weak instead of conquering them. You take your knowledge of governance and use it to help young civilizations learn to rule themselves wisely. The Emperor extended his hand, a gesture of respect among his people. Hyunwoo took it carefully, his human fingers small against the alien's scaled palm. Very well, Calthron said, but I have one condition. Name it. Teach us, the Emperor said. Teach us how you did this. Not the technology. We know we'll never understand that. But teach us the wisdom that made you choose education over extermination. Help us become worthy of the peace you've given us. Hyunwoo's smile widened. That, Emperor, would be our honor. As the 2 leaders stood together in the ancient throne room, the holographic display showed the galaxy as it was becoming. Worlds that had known only war for millennia were learning to grow gardens. Species that had spent their entire histories as enemies were discovering they could be friends. Children who would have grown up as soldiers were instead becoming scientists and artists and teachers. Dr. Yunbi's final report came through from Luna Station, her voice warm with satisfaction. Admiral, the transformation is complete. We have achieved what we set out to do 5 centuries ago. Humanity has become the guardians of the galaxy, not through conquest, but through the demonstration that peace is possible. And what about us? Hyunwoo asked. What does humanity become now? We become what we always were, she replied. Teachers, gardeners, the species that learned war so well that we could finally choose peace. The galaxy was safe. Every world was protected. Every species was free to grow and learn and dream without fear of destruction. It wasn't the peace of surrender or